Hello, everyone. This is BizChicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today I am here with Coach Caren Fern, all the way from Toronto, Canada. And we are about to have some fun talking about how to get into your business activities. Now, you know what? She must have read my mind because I plan to be a lot more active in 2022. I think I'm just over it, all this foolishness. Okay,
Right? She's just doing it. She's
you
going and getting
know,
going.
keeps going and going and going. Good morning, those of you who are watching live and on the replay. Those of you who may get the replay over in Clubhouse later. How you doing this morning, Alfonso?
Hi,
Alfredo, rather.
Alfonso. What are you
All is
doing,
well.
guy?
It's good to see you. How things going over there at Amazon?
Mm.
Okay, well, Coach, you want to get us started? I'm going to take these earplugs out just in case my Mac decides to pick up or something. Okay. All right.
Okay, guys. So I'm gonna briefly top in. This is the last month of the year, guys. Today is the first, the last month of the year. Today is
This
the
is
first, the
so
last month
good.
of the year. Could you? We, I just well for the last 3 or 4 months I've been talking about planning, getting things in order. Woo! I hope you've been doing it, and if you have, you still got another 4 weeks to go, guys. You still do, you still do. All right, so we finished off last month talking about treating your business like one of your clients. And the first client is you. And because it's you came up with the idea, is you decide what to do. So it's you. It's all about you. When you understand you and understand how you function, how you work, you really become this beautiful business owner. You really able to do this stuff. Telling you. And so today we're going to talk about categorizing your business activity yearly.
Mhm.
And whatever you decide to do this month, I'm promising you, even if you do it. No matter how small, get something done, get something on paper, put it on your wall, do something, sticky notes on your computer, whatever you need to do, just to keep you there and focus and remind you this is what you're doing. Before I even get into it, I talked to somebody is yesterday. I sent them a voice note because they're just in a little pickle. And I'm saying to them, I want you to take the pickle you're in and I want you to close the door, put the cover on the jar and just set it aside for a minute and focus on where you want to go. Focus on these 3 things: where you want to go, where you see yourself going, and the monies that you want to happen within this space that you're looking at. And I want you to do this daily. And if you have a chance, I want her to do it 3 times a day. Get up in the morning, do it at lunchtime, do it in the afternoon. Just be focused on this place, because where she's at right now, it's hard. She's in a hard spot, and I know she's in a hard spot. We're praying for her, but she has to herself has to be visual and valiant and be in the presence of where you want to go. Listen, people, let me tell you, when you are in struggles, when you are having a hard time, when life is just being life, you have to be able to set yourself apart to get to this other part of the journey. That's just your testers. Don't worry about it. You're studying to pass the test, and your study is to focus on moving forward. So if you're in a tough space, if you're in a tough spot right now, emotionally, financially, physically, I just want you to know it's just temporary. It is very temporary. It just
Wow.
feels like it's forever. All right.
Well, Al says he's got some activities going. Good morning, Yolanda. How you doing this
Hi,
morning?
Yolanda.
He says, speaking of business activities, got my first LinkedIn as a host. Caleb Templeman was my first guest.
Oh,
Congratulations.
yes. Congrats for sure. You're moving, boy. You're moving, man. This is good. This is good. All movement. This is good. This is good. Excuse me. So I just wanted to pop in and I just want to tell you, you know, things are happening with people, but just so we can get it moving and get them moving, you
Mhm.
do what you have where you are right now. So we're going to talk about today is about, depending on the business you're in, what needs to happen by the end of the year. And it's this year. Decide, make yourself 1 to 3 statements and make sure you focus on them throughout 2022. And I promise you, you're gonna see a change. You gotta be paying attention so you could jot down the change. It's gonna happen the first quarter, more gonna happen the second quarter, and it's gonna continue to happen if you stay present, focused, and consistent.
So
Number
we're
two,
making one or two statements about 2022.
yes, yes. What you want, you need to know it. You need to know it. And most of us do, but we are afraid to literally say it, write it down, because what if it doesn't happen? But what if
Mm-hmm.
it does? But what if it does?
Wow.
All right. What if it does?
So are these resolutions or are
I don't
these
like
just
resolutions
statements?
because resolutions freak people out.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know why I like working statements, Terry? It's
Oh,
because I like them. I call them. Well, I call them working statements.
I like that.
I like working statements because I can say the statement that I made and I could attend to the statement. So years ago, my statement was I was going to check my bank account every single morning and I was going to check my budget every single day. This was part of this three-part thing. And I was going to check my debt. And so these three things, I wanted to check them because I didn't want to feel afraid to look at my bank account. I didn't want to feel afraid anymore to look at my debt. And I didn't want to feel afraid anymore to look at where the money was going because
Mm-hmm.
this was a part of what was happening. I was recently graduated from college. I had student loans and, credit card and that sort of stuff. And when the bill would come, I didn't want to look at it because I didn't get a job yet. And then when I do get a job, it could barely pay for anything.
You know what? Have we all been through that phase? There was a phase when I just stopped looking because I knew I didn't have it.
Right.
Uh, Only to find out that if I had attended to it, I would have been a lot better off. But inexperience and fear uh, resulted in a lot of things in my former days.
Exactly. Exactly. And then I met a friend, and when she told me she hadn't opened her mail for a year, I felt so better with myself. I know I shouldn't, but I did because I had just not opened my bill for 3 months compared to her for a year. So I was like, girl, don't let that happen. Mm-mm, mm-mm,
Mm,
mm-mm.
But you know what? Someone's always got a worse horror
Yeah,
story. That doesn't make us right.
yes.
I remember when I was pregnant, I told people, don't tell me your horror story. I'll have my own when I finish. A good soldier only dies once. Uh, so don't die every time you hear somebody else's story or make excuses for yourself because someone's worse off. People, because we can do that. We can justify our
Yes, yes, yes. And I opened mine. I called the bank. Right away, I say, listen, first I didn't have a job, and called back the guy said, I got a job and it's paying me X amount of dollars. There's just no way. And he said to me, Caren, let me get back to you in 48 hours. The man get back to me and he said to me, if you pay $50 a month until you get yourself to where you need to be, we'll be okay with that because you're showing that you want to do something. I was like, I could have done this 3 months ago.
You know what I'm saying? But because we don't know, fear creeps in,
Yes,
and we are afraid to face our fears. That's
yes,
why they're fears because we scared.
exactly. And let me tell you, that was such a relief. And then, different things snowballed itself because the minute you start understanding that this is possible, roadblocks is going to come. I want to just own up on that right now. But because you've made the commitment and you made that active statement where you're going to be doing something, now you just go do it. And it's hard to do initially. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's easy, but you go and you do it. You face it. You face the zero in your bank account. And when your bank account got $20, you start saying hip, 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 hooray, at least for me. Terry, I like to dance. So it's a big jump up and down and dance for $25 in the bank account.
Oh my goodness!
I'm
Yes.
jumping and I got $25. When I hit $100, I'm like, I can't believe myself. I'm going left, right, and center with it.
Mm, mm.
Because I'm celebrating. I'm being grateful that this has happened, And that's why I keep saying it's a tester because I'm
Uh-huh.
going through this phase of my life. And then all of a sudden, it feels like all of a sudden, but because I'm owning up and being honest with it, I'm in the job that is not a good job for me. And I needed to leave the job, but I don't want to leave the job because I don't have any other job prospect. And I just graduated, as I
And you
said.
don't have time to look for a job because you're working a job, and it's just one big circle.
Exactly. And then I had
Mm-hmm.
this wonderful supervisor who would give me extra hours like crazy. I even work his shift sometimes. And he'll say to me, Karen, you need more hours, what have you? And then we get to talk in a day. And this man was a pilot, but he's
Mm-hmm.
an immigrant like I, and he didn't have his papers, so he couldn't get a job as a pilot. So he was doing the same crappy job I was doing. And I tell you guys, I'm always a planner. I'm like, you know what? Let's make a plan together. Him and I sat down. We made a plan. And
Mm.
I tell you want to talk about two people crazily act on a plan within 90 days to just shift things? He was getting out of there. I left before him, but he was getting out of there. Yeah.
There is something about voicing your expectations, your desires,
Mhm.
your, some people call them goals, whatever it is, expressing that to someone else. I don't know if it just reaffirms in us that we made a commitment and somebody knows about it. You're more likely to carry out those steps to get it done
Yes. Yes.
because you
Because
know
like you got
somebody's
somebody
going to
else
ask
to
you
cheer
about it.
you on. There's somebody else who's rooting for you also. You know,
Hmm.
his thing was they told me I don't know good English. I said we talk all the time. You can speak well. What's the problem? You just have an accent. So do
Hmm.
I don't care. He goes, how could you not care? I'm like, because we're still people. Like I was past that part where he hadn't passed yet. So that was good for him.
Hmm.
He said you should have my position because you further ahead than I said, I don't want your position because that would stop me from growing to where I need to be. And that, he said, kind of, I went home, I told my wife, and she said, see, you needed somebody else to tell you this, right? I said, I am further along, even though I have an accent, than a lot of people. But the reason I don't want to be in your position is because I don't plan to stay here for years. This
Hmm.
is a temporary holding. So I can pay
Hmm.
my student loan, help with some bills. That's we were like giddy up. He was gonna go and he was gonna go back to flight school. He was not gonna. I think one of the biggest advantage I've ever had in my life is knowing that it didn't matter my age when I start and who was in front of me. One of the things I have really taken into my gut was if I'm gonna do it, unless I'm dying, and even then, it's gonna get done. And
Hmm.
here's why. I always give credit to my grandmother. She always said to me, she'd said to me, it was hard to hear, but she'd said it. Karen, why, when I was whining about the tickets lost and what happened, she said, why are you going to school? And I said, oh, you're going to feel good, about, knowing that I'm going to get my good grades. And I went to the whole spiel about how she's going to feel good about it because her granddaughter is doing great. She goes, you're not doing it for me. If you never go back to school again, nothing is going to happen to me. I'm just going to still be Shirley Archer doing what she doing. You going to school for you. And so if you don't show up today, it's you in the future that's not going to have an education. If you don't go to school tomorrow, it's you as a person going to be without what evidence you seeking so desperately to have. It is not going to touch me. I know you think it will because that's what you hear. But I promise you, it's going to do nothing to me.
Hmm.
And I started recognizing over time that it's really for myself why I'm going to school. Most people don't understand that you're doing this for you and the people around you get the benefit of it. But you're literally doing it for you. If you're going to school for your mother, your father, your kids, don't bother. Like you gotta go to school for you. You gotta educate yourself for you. You gotta learn your business for you so that the people get the benefit of it. But you
Mm.
can't go for them. Every time I see a mom says, I'm doing it for my kids, I'm like, stop. Do it for you so they can benefit from it and see you doing it. Do not do it for your children. Give them this thing. Okay. All right. Before I go down the rabbit hole. Cut off.
Okay, we were talking about making working statements.
Yes. Making those statements so that you could live with them, you could live through them. It's almost like, not almost, it is a representation of what do they call it? The word is, it'll come back around, but you know what it is, where you get up and you make statement, you get into your office. For people who work by themselves,
Oh,
if you're on an investment journey,
a declaration of
yeah,
what.
you'll say those things. You have words that you say to yourself. You continuously say them, and
Mhm.
over time they just become you, and you be part of it. If you were looking for a house, you'll say, well, I'm in this house, la da di da, I have so many bedrooms.
Affirmations and
Affirmation, that's the word I'm
declarations.
looking for.
Mhm.
My grandmother was an affirmation person queen. She was affirmation like nobody's business. Whatever she's going after, those are spilling over. And one of the other things she used to talk about, secrets. Everybody don't want to say what they want because they think it need to be secret. She goes, that secret, those secrets hamper you. She believed that they hamper you because you know, you and I know that there's some things we hear we shouldn't speak out, and that's true. But when you want something and you're trying not to let anybody else hear you want it, she feel your spirit also is not hearing that you want it. So you're stifling it versus doing it. Because yeah, I want to do this, but then you didn't really tell yourself you want to do it, so nothing is happening. Nothing is coming.
That's interesting because the book I read says you shall have what you say. You don't say it, right?
How are you gonna have it? How are you gonna have it? How are you gonna have it? But you know, everybody got their baby. But
so now we know what grandma was really doing.
You know, and the other thing is they never really give you any big explanation about stuff. They never go through the fineries, I will say, but they'll give you the big picture. All right. So how will you and your team get it done? That's workflow. That's just workflow. Like this part is so tedious and it could be so annoying and it could feel so larger than life that even I, at times, do not want to do it. But I know the benefit of workflow. I see the benefit of workflow. At any point in time when my kids used to work for me, and now the youngest is, if I have his workflow set up, I mean, he come in and he crushes it. And he's a stickler. And we had to sit and have this meeting. I said, Pierce, do you like when he goes, yeah, Mom, you don't even have to finish the sentence. Because he will knock things out in less time once it's there for him and he knows he has to do it. And workflow is important for yourself because you come in knowing what to do. You come in knowing what to do. If you had a workflow and you used to sew, then you come in knowing that you got it. Today's your cut day, today's your pin day, today's your sewing day, whatever day it is, or today's your social media day. That workflow is there. You know the days it tells you. You know, I used to work at a salon. You get in there. I got in there around 10 in the morning. We're opening, or if we're opening at 10, I'm in at 9. I'm getting my station ready. You know, I'm getting everything out and about so that when my first client come in, I could tend to them. This is no difference than when you're working at home. You have to have a workflow. And the second reason it's good is because if you've developed it for yourself, now you're able to have this to pass on to an assistant. Anybody can take over from you. You don't have to feel you have to work 24/7. You can really pass it on. And that's how you grow your business. If you do everything, you cannot grow your business.
This is true.
You just can't grow it that way. You have to have help. And you have to look at the help. You have to look at the help that they can do good for you. I had this coach once, and she'd said to me when I was doing my coaching, my cleaning, she says, I want you to give your car away to the person who is the head cleaner. And I said to her, what? She goes, yeah, I want you to stop driving your car and I want you to give it to her. And I want you to release that is micromanaging really what it was. She says, I want you to release it. I want you to release her and have her do those things. And I want you to only be in the office focusing on growing the business. I want you to work on the business and I want you to get out from in the business and let her shine. You need to give her the car so you don't have a car to just jump in and go. This is going to make you stationary. You're going to have to sit there and do it. Now, I was talking to this woman had done over, she took her husband cleaning company from making probably about 1,000 or plus a month to $1 million company. Okay. So this is a woman who had done it. And she said, I've been in the trenches. I cleaned. I did everything. But then once I recognized that the pose, when I come back from cleaning and I sat at the computer and actually do the work that is tedious and boring, that's when the company starts shining. And I got rid of all the things that I was in charge of and started giving it out to people and let them be in charge. I gave them my title. I took nothing. I just focused on being on top of everything and making sure the business ran. So you have to have a workflow, because when you have a workflow, you free up your brain, your thinking power, your mind
Mm.
start growing. You get to truly be in charge. When we start a business, if you were making candles or you're making earrings, you really think you're in the powerhouse, but you're not. You're a maker. You're a maker. And when you understand that you're a maker, that's all you stay and you want to work in. It's like being poor. If you've been poor for a long time, the only thing you want to do is be poor. And you will tell me, no, kind of don't want to be poor. But you do. You want to be poor because your thinking is poor, because you're comfortable in your poorness. But you don't understand that that's what it is, because that's your comfort zone. So every time I stretch you to be beyond, you get
Mhm.
really frightened and you run back into your poorness. And it's a lot to stretch you out of it, because all you want to do is stay in the comfort zone. It's like in your bed with nice covers and really great bamboo high counted thread sheets. That's where you want to be. And that's for all the people who've been poor, self included. I don't want to stretch as I say I want to stretch, but I have to force me to stretch. And so
Mm.
I got to get real uncomfortable. Like the first time I sent, she was a friend of mine, to give an estimate for a house, I was in a doctor's office and I couldn't get out to do the estimate, and it had to be done. And I called her up and I said, you got to go give an estimate for 2 houses, and you're gonna and we walked through the whole process. She said, I got it. And she went and she got it done, and we got one and we didn't get the other. And my head was telling me, if I'd been, we would have gotten both, but she been, that's why we got one. And then after the doctor appointment, we met in person, and she said, we could have gotten both houses, but I wouldn't want that for your company, because you and I, friendship is so important that I don't want to see you do anything that's going to jeopardize your business. This friend of mine is a really good friend, because she could have taken both of them. She's just kind of literally out us, because I could see that it wouldn't in line with what we do.
Oh,
When people are looking out for you though, and you've been so long doing this, it's hard for you to let go and let them do. And she was right, because the job that we got, extended. It gave us the job today, and it extended us for, I think we had the client for 2 years. So she
mm.
made a good pick versus the one that we didn't get. So you got to trust. You got to let your team in and do stuff and stop micromanaging. But you got to grow. The only way you grow is to let other people in and let them do the work that they're really good at. Really
Mm.
good at. Better than you. And that's the other part. They are better than you in this specific part of your business. So you got to let them do it. And number 3, will this reward you financially and emotionally? Because we need both. We need to be rewarded. You feel empty when you're rewarded financially, but not emotionally. You need to feel that. I don't care who you are. You need to feel that when you get at a certain level, it's not like you don't need the emotional anymore, but you understand now the playing field, and your emotional level is different because you're now at higher heights and you're looking for a different kind of emotional, you know, reward in that sense. But when you're starting out, you need the financial and emotional more than anything else, because it helps balance you. It helps your brain to understand that you can be financially free, you can have a lot of money, and it's okay. So you're okay with it emotionally. You're not trying to give it away. You're not trying to spend it out. You emotionally growth has happened, so you can actually hold on to that money that you made. I talked to somebody, it was last month. Yeah, it was last month when they were a challenge. And we were talking, and she says, kind of first time I made $37,000 in a week. I sat in my kitchen. She said, I was bawling. And then I was thinking, well, why am I crying? And I called my dad, and I was talking to him about it. And he says, the number sounds big because you just never hold it. And you say, you're not even holding it, just the thought process of it. And then she started thinking if she robbed people, she shouldn't have sold the program for that amount of money. All the things that you can imagine is visiting her. She's like, as soon as one thought left, a new person came in. And so they keep visiting her. Next day, she was, agonizing over it. Then she went into the person she's with. She says, they don't even make that in a half a year, and now how she's going to tell them about it. And I said, so why do you need to tell them about it? And this is not being dishonest. It's that some conversations is your partner. If we're talking about it, your partner's not ready yet to hear it. Deep down inside why you don't want to tell him or her. What's happening, and some of you is starting to tell you that this partner may or may not be your forever person. Because when you can have an honest discussion about something and
Mm.
it's not good or bad, you know that. Because jealousy is real. Jealousy is real. You know, Terry, there's a lot of women don't really do great in their businesses because they're afraid of being.
Outshine somebody. Hmm.
Mhm, mhm.
That's true. And they're afraid to be deemed a success.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
yes. And so the story, whatever story you've been telling yourself, because they can't make you, whatever story you've been living into, it is causing all this to happen because you're in the story of they might leave me, they might like me anymore, we won't get along because I would be the main breadwinner. We'll go through this list of things that
Mhm.
in our heads, true or lie, that prevents us to be able to have that conversation. One of the things I always say, even if you can't have the conversation, if you feel you can't have the conversation, you have to understand what the rewards would be, what the outcome would be, and how would you live with it, and then you could have the conversation. So regardless of what happened, you're okay with the outcome.
Mhm.
Because the person might say, and I met somebody when I used to network a lot who told me that's how they got a divorce. The husband looked at them and said, I can't be with you. I can't be the woman who making more money than me. I just can't. And they got a divorce. He literally said, you know, I tried talking to him. I talk about counseling, and he said, I can't do it. I can't do it. And shortly after that, I read a book about the lady who did all the catering for Air Canada and a couple other US companies. Her husband, they had 4 boys. And the minute her business skyrocketed, the minute she got the airlines, she was always a caterer, but the minute she got the airlines, she looked back at the things that he was doing that she didn't notice because she was busy in the business and he was helping. But the minute she got the biggest contract of her life, when she would celebrate and think that this would help them because the family had struggled, they've been poor, they're punished, they've suffered for so long. This is me talking about people loving to stay in the suffering.
Mhm.
He did everything possible to break what she felt, had built together. And then ultimately he walked away because he said, she see it as their money, as their family money. He saw
Yeah.
it as he wasn't the one who had the idea, got the contract, and bottom line, had the perseverance, stick to it, and really create a company. Most women is willing to share in everything, even if
Yes.
they know they were the standard, but we're willing to share. But if a man did it, it would have been okay for us to come in as the sideline. If we did it, not all men, but so many,
Mm.
sometimes, just sometimes, that's why women don't skyrocket the way they should.
Wow. Wow. Hmm. Interesting.
But we're close to that's what we after today. That's what we talked about. We talk about, and on the BizChicks, we talk about the difficult. We have difficult
Conversation.
conversations, but
Mhm.
straightforward and to the point conversation. But we have these difficult conversations because they need to be had.
Mhm.
And it's true, it lurks in the background. And sometimes we don't want to talk about it because it's hard. It's darn hard to talk about. But you have to know if you're in the situation, in your position, if this is happening, and you need to do what you need to do. You gotta have to face it for yourself. If for nobody else, you have to
Mhm.
face it because it becomes this thing that eventually pulls you back without you recognizing because it started off so small and tiny, but it expands itself. It truly expands itself. So you gotta really recognize it. So today we talk about categorizing your business activities. And today we cover, depending on your business, what needs to happen by the end of this year. And you
Mhm.
need to have those statements in place so you know what needs to happen. Only you know, and you got to do that. Working statement. Yep, you got to make that happen. And number two, you and your team, how are you going to get it done? Workflow. You guys, you as the owner, right now, if this is the stage you're at, you need to set up a workflow. If you have an assistant, you need to give them what they need so that they can help you set up a workflow and get that
Mhm.
going. And if you're building a team, I want you to think about, if you're building your business, I want you to think about how many team members you want on and how you're going to, like, what is the task that it's, I don't care about apps and all that. That stuff is there, but you still have to do, but you'd rather pass it along to somebody else. start inquiring how you can do that. Like write it out so you'll know this, whether you got to get a student or not, but somebody who would take it over and really enjoy doing it and help you, really help you grow. And, so you need a workflow for that. And how will this reward you financially and emotionally? Because it has to reward you financially and emotionally. You can't say, well, I'm doing it and I'm emotionally blessed. No, you need to be rewarded financially. This is a business. We're not sending you to play volleyball or anything for a hobby or knitting. This is this is business we're talking about. Because you're not gonna go work for anybody and say, okay, you know what? Just pay me in a couple of hats. No, you're gonna want your salary. So you're in business. You want to make sure you're paid and paid well too. That's what I got for you today.
That was a lot. Oh my goodness. Two things we need to keep in mind: setting up our working statements for 2022 and um, setting up our workflow.
Yes.
How are we going to get it done?
Yes.
Who do we need to get it done?
Yes.
Where do we need to get it done?
Yes. Write it out, guys. Write it out and do it. Do it.
Who,
Do it.
what,
Do
where,
it.
when, and why. Remember those little
Yes.
things we
Right
said?
through school. I remember going to college and saying to the professor, I'm like, we're still doing the what, where, and why? He says, for your whole life, you'll be doing it.
Isn't that interesting? It's so true. And I think the problem is that we complicate stuff.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
really do. But I remember learning in 5th and 6th grade how to write a theme.
Mm-hmm. See,
Who, what, where, when, and why. Yeah.
Yes, you still do it. He was a psychologist in my psych class, and he said, people ask me all the time, like, why did I give up on psychology and why am I a professor? But he wanted to really work in the field, but it was affecting how he get to run his household, how he show up as a father. And he said he needed time with his daughter, and he recognized that if he went that route, he wouldn't have as much time. And so he made a choice. And he said, I went through the where, why, when, and how. I'm telling you, this is what brought me here. He said, and it worked because his daughter is getting the benefit of it. And he says, he is a Christian. He says, look how God guides you, because he says, that I think she turned 5 and I can't remember what was wrong with her, but she needed so much more care that thank God he was a professor that he was able to take over from mom for that time. That, God works in it.
So we have to keep our eye on the who, what, where, when, and why when we're putting together our workflow and making our statements, our working statements for 2022. Coach Caren, we love you. Oh my God.
I love you guys right back.
You always have such amazing information for us. We want everybody to know that they can find you on the web at Profits in Daily. And I had your here it is, Profits in Daily. Coach Caren Fern with a C, all the way from Toronto, Canada. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms under Profits in Daily, because you need to be bringing in profits every day in your business. Oh my gosh. So thank you again. I want to remind everybody that tomorrow we'll be here with Robin Shimizu and friends for Happy Healthy Habits with Robin Shimizu. In the meantime, remember, go to the front of your own line.
Yes.
It's okay, people. Go to the front
of your own line.
22. All right, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.